Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bros and Shows. I am your host, Josiah, aka Mauler67. And with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
You're doing fantastic.
Or the words of Mr. Burns, excellent.
Excellent. That's good to hear. I'm glad.
Mhm.
If I sound a little different, for anyone who's watching or listening and they're like, oh, just that sounds a little different, it is because I have a new microphone because my old microphone bit the dust.
Yes, it did.
And unfortunately, because it's a new microphone, I'm still not used to the podcast. I don't know how good it's picking me up, or if it's not picking me up enough, if I have to increase the gains, so on and so forth. So we will see as the night goes on if people ask me to turn up or not.
Or what?
Hopefully not. But Austin, how has your day been?
It's been pretty good. Just my week so far, I've been dealing with last week I was talking about a cold or a flu. I'm kind of like coming off of it now. I just have phlegm and stuff. So if I cough, I'm sorry. I'll try my best. I'll try to mute myself if I need to spit up phlegm. Sorry guys, that's disgusting. Shouldn't know that. But been pretty good. Friday I pretty much was too sick to do anything, so I just played the new Spider-Man game and beat that. And then we played Baldur's Gate a couple times, and then I just been working pretty much, like nothing really too exciting going on, but it's going good. Not too bad.
No, that's good to know, Austin. I think that's pretty solid day, Austin, or week, I guess is. How long did it take you to beat Spider-Man? Like how many hours?
Well, I think the game's like 14 hours. I think maybe.
Is that just campaign itself?
I think it's just campaign, and then it's like 28 hours to do everything else. If you're trying to be like a completist like I am, in a way where I like to complete a game completely of all missions. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There is a couple things that that are a little more difficult and probably will take more time because they don't have locations on the map. So you have to like go around the map trying to look for something. Yeah, because usually in the last Spider-Man, they gave you everything that was on the map, and they would show you like little pings or whatever it is. But there are like these little spider bots that you have to find, and
kind of like the backpacks from the other game.
Yeah, but the backpacks were pinged on the map. There is no ping on the map, so you just have to find them and try to figure out if you got them all or not. But there supposedly, I've looked up like if there's like something that will verify that I have all of them. And it's like, yeah, it will cut you to a special cutscene in the game, which I kind of knew what the premise was, because after a while, like characters talk to you and they're like, oh, hey, like we know information about this. So like there was some information that was given that I was like, oh, okay, I think I know who the cutscene is, or what the cutscene is. So yeah, it's kind of been like that. I'm still looking for those, but right now I got like maybe like 6 missions left in the whole map. So I just gotta get those done, and then I'm done. And then I just have to go find the spider bots. So that's pretty much it. I've been playing the crap out of it. I'm a huge fan of the original Spider-Man game that came out on the PlayStation 4, and then Miles Morales, and then Spider-Man 2. So, I'm super, I was so stoked for it for the last like 2 years. So I've been waiting for this game forever.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, I've beaten it. But like a lot of other people would just beat it and then just, just wouldn't go back to it. Me, I'm the kind of guy that's going to beat it, complete it on the difficulty, which is the normal difficulty. And then probably a month later when I have, it's one of those games, like what I really like about certain games, there's certain games that do that for me where, I like playing multiplayer games with my friends, and, you, of course. But the thing is
you don't have to lie. You don't have to lie to me.
No, we played Faz, Bugs, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But some of those games though are single player, so it's great for like when people are busy or they're not available to play. I can just go right to it, because there's so many times where I'm like, ugh, I really want to play a video game, but what do I want to play? And I want a game that engrosses me, that I want to play it, because I've had games where I bought that were single player and I was like, wow, this looks fun. And then I played it and I'm like, I played it halfway through and then I just forget about it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm doing something else. So, there's not a lot of games that keeps me engrossed as much as, unless I really enjoy the aspect of the game. Like, I've played games multiple times where it's like I've repeated them, like Inscription. I have done that. I've done it on the PlayStation
multiple times.
Yeah, and I've done it on the computer multiple times. And then I even did like the other game developer stuff, like Pony Express and the Hex. I really enjoy those games. So, when a game can keep me coming back for the replayability of it, like, I love those games because they're single player games. They're not meant for, multiplayer, because multiplayer is just all open, like where, it's like, oh, you can just jump in and it's unlimited most of the time just to play whatever. And there's no really anything to really achieve unless, like, it's part of like a story campaign, but then there's multiple stuff afterwards. But I've been kind of been looking for a single player game for a while. So when I knew that this game was coming out, I was super psyched about it and I was ready to go. I was like, yeah, I get to play it. It's so much fun. So now I'm trying to complete it so I can start on, now they have a different difficulty now. Cause like in the original one, it was amazing, spectacular was the hardest difficulty. Now they have an ultimate difficulty. And I'm like, man, I had a lot of problems on the normal difficulty of playing this game. Like, I don't know. But I usually jump from like normal to like the super hardest mode I can most of the time. I don't know why, it's just me, how I am with that. And I'll probably like be frustrated about it multiple times, but
I mean, half of the reasons why some people like play on normal difficulties in the beginning is because they're not like aware of like what the game is, and so
how mechanics work.
Yeah, so you go normal to see how the game is, to get used to it, and then you jump into the harder difficulties because you're like, oh, I did that, I'm fine, I'm good.
Yep.
No, that's awesome. That's good, man. I appreciate you sharing with that. That's now that makes me happy because I know a lot of people were excited for Spider-Man 2. I would play it if I had PS5, but I don't, so I'm just going to wait for it to come out on PC sooner or later. That's my goal with that, and also another game that I really much was thinking about. At one point, I was debating on buying a PS5 for, and that's Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, fortunately, I have avoided all spoilers, most spoilers for it, and I believe it's going to come out on PC in December for like the holidays. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's whatever. People are like, oh, PlayStation exclusives. I'm like, they're only exclusive for like half a year and then they transfer over because
they're back. So
let's be fair. Like, nothing really, the amount of money you make from keeping a game exclusive versus moving it to PC, the PC audience just like makes it worth so much more to just not keep it exclusive.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised that Xbox even does anything except like PC releases, because I know that they have their console, but it doesn't make as much money as like the PlayStation. It doesn't have really good exclusive, at least in my opinion.
Well, that, and I think also the exclusivity works with it's hard for Xbox to do that because Xbox has their own computer app.
Yeah.
So, they have that already available to people, but PlayStation only has remote play from your PlayStation. You can't download the PlayStation app and then, do that.
Just give them a little bit, and then they're going to release like a freaking PC app at some point.
Cloud streaming.
Yeah. That's inevitable, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Which would be nice, because there's a lot of games on the PlayStation that I know a lot of people would love to play. So Spider-Man's one of them. That's why it was a huge seller on Steam, because so many people wanted to play it, and they're like, well, I'm not gonna buy a PS4, and then they get a PS4. There was a lot of people that just held out, and they're like, oh, hey, PlayStation came here.
It finally came, or I had to like.
Well, that's like me right now with God of War Ragnarok. I'm just kind of holding out till then. I love the first game, but like I haven't like even got even remotely to think, hey, maybe I'll get that. But also too is I've been all hooked on Spider-Man coming out, so I was like, I'll play other games because I got like a whole year of premium for free on PlayStation, so I just grab a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah.
All right, no, that's good. I think Austin, this week we watched The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. And normally I try to sit here and do like a weird little like funny little transition joke. But you know, the references escape me, which did not happen in these seasons episodes of the Treehouse of Horrors and 2 holiday episodes accidentally for myself. For anyone who has went down the Disney Plus route of just watching it on there was 2 episodes that were Thanksgiving of horror.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I read and I was like, oh, okay, did they just combine the 2? I guess that makes sense. And then the next episode's like Treehouse of Horror. And I was like,
Yep, they put it on there for some odd reason. I don't get it why they did that.
Well, they're intended to be like horror themed Thanksgiving ones, which so like I understood why they were on there, but when I was watching them, I didn't realize that it was the Thanksgiving episodes until they started playing, and then I second guessed myself. I'm like, do I watch these? Do I not? Like, am I supposed to? We mentioned this playlist, so maybe I do have to. So I'm just gonna watch just to be sure. So we watched them. We watched season 18 all the way through 34 of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors, and I have to ask Austin, what did you think of these Treehouses of Horror?
Well, you know me, I watch The Simpsons, so I've watched almost every season except for the newest season so far. I haven't watched just because I just wait for like more episodes to come out for a little bit and then I watch a lot of them because they're only like 20-25 minutes long.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just let it, you know, I'm not really into watching every week sometimes. Now, sometimes I'm into that and sometimes I'm not, but lately I haven't been into that. I'm waiting for like things to build up and then I'll watch them.
Okay.
You know, I haven't done it with, you know, Loki does that and like Azuka and like all them did that. And like, I just haven't got around to doing it. So, you know, that's why I'm like, yeah, you know.
You're like Asuka. And I was like, what the heck's Asuka?
Asuka.
And then it hit me. I'm like, oh, he means Ahsoka. Okay.
Asuka. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm terrible at it.
That's fine.
But these episodes, you know, this is not the golden age of The Simpsons. You know, the golden age of The Simpsons is like till season 8. People say it's season 8 when they said the stop of the golden age. Like most fans will say the stop of the golden age of The Simpsons is the episode where Seymour Skinner, you find out, is not Seymour Skinner. He's Aemon Targaryen, which is you know, he was like a soldier underneath Seymour Skinner, and Seymour Skinner comes back. That's when they say the golden years stop. But in reality, I always say until season 12. I feel that like the writing and the comical stuff was still good until season 12. And after that, it kind of fell off for like, I think 2 seasons. And then the movie came out and it got people back into The Simpsons because people were like, the movie was really good. And the movie's still good. I love that movie. And so then, you know, like season 15 came out, season 16, then 17, 18. And then it started veering back down, you know, because you're going to get people that flux in and out. And that's what I love about The Simpsons is where, you know, sometimes I won't watch a season or 2 and then I come back and I'm like, oh man, this was really good. Why didn't I watch this? And it's like, oh, because, you know, you get burned out of stuff like that. And this show's been on for 30 some odd, you know, years now.
Yeah.
You know, so like, is it like 36 years? Yeah, it's been like 36 years. Because this is the 35
seasons.
Okay. You know, so I don't know, you know, that you can get burnt out like that. That's like same way with South Park. I'm the same way with South Park. I love South Park. I think it's funny. I like the commentary of it. And I like the stuff that they do. But I don't watch it like how I used to, where it was like I had to watch an episode every time it came out. It was more of like I'd wait a couple years and be like, oh, hey, there's 2 new seasons. I haven't watched these, and I'll watch
I'm
them.
like, oh, I'll watch them.
You know,
Yep.
And that's because it's so long running. Like the show's been running for so long that you can get burnt out of something like that, and you're like, okay, there's no time to like.
I mean, to be fair, what you're saying is I completely agree with, because I have I had the same issue with what was it? Well, a mixture of shows, but the big one I think a lot of people may agree with me on is like Rick and Morty. Like I religiously watched it for 3 seasons, and then like halfway through the 4th season, my brain was like, hey, look, I'm not waiting every season, and I haven't watched it since. Like I still enjoy the humor and the comedy in it. I have no interest to watch it or to spend the time watching it. But you know, maybe at some point it will just hit me where I'm like, hey, dang, I need to freaking watch Rick and Morty again.
Yeah, and the thing is like, I feel the same with Rick and Morty too, or you know, like Solar Opposites. I haven't watched the newest season yet, and I like Solar Opposites, but I just haven't really had the, you know, I was like, I'm kind of burned out, because Solar Opposites is exactly like Rick and Morty in a way.
Yeah, it's similar
like,
enough.
You know, and the thing is the problem is that I also have is I work with people that love that show, like religiously watch the show multiple times. So like, I'm constantly watching an episode that I've watched like 20 times, and I'm like, oh, gosh, can we watch something else? Like, you know, so. And the thing is it, you know, that's like, I just finished Chucky. Like I finally got to the last Chucky episode that has aired, which was last Thursday. I finally got around to it, but I took a break from it for 2 weeks because I was like, all right, I'm kind of burned out. And I was like halfway through a season when I stopped. So The Simpsons is kind of like that to me. It's still my favorite show of all time. I enjoy it a lot. It's not the best show that I agree is the best show of all time. It's my favorite show of all time so far. I still go back. I still have laughs. I love the characters. I love the family. I love everything about it. And look at me going on a huge rant about how much I love The Simpsons again. But so these episodes, what did you think of these episodes? Because I thought they were pretty good. Like there was about a couple episodes that I wasn't really a fan of. And there is jokes about those, which are really funny, because there's an episode where Homer's like, oh, Treehouse of Horrors again. He's like, so we get one good episode, then a really crappy middle episode, and then an okay episode at the end. He makes that reference.
The funny thing I will say about the Treehouse of Horror series, and even just like pre and at like 17, what we did last week and this week, I tend to like remember each of the individual like segments versus the episode itself.
Yeah.
And so like whenever I'm thinking about, oh, Treehouse Forward, these were pretty good, I'm very much like picking and choosing from all the different ones that I've seen.
Yeah.
I personally felt like there was a lot of like bomb episodes in this season where I'm just like, man, this is great. I love this one. Side note, bomb as in good, not bomb as in bad. I realized after I said this, I meant the bomb diggity, as they say in the old South. No, but I also acknowledge that a lot of these episodes that I enjoyed were reference based. It was because I liked the origination of the like joke where it came from.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like, I realized, I think that's the issue that the Simpsons have nowadays. Why people give them so much slack is because they are becoming reference comedy, unlike what they were in the older days. However, I will also say that a lot of the jokes from the older Simpsons were reference-based jokes, but we were too young to know they were references.
Yes.
And I think it's now becoming the point where we are getting the references and we are getting mad because it's like, oh, everything's a reference with them. It's like, no, it's always been that way. You just never knew who Al Gore was. I'm not Al Gore. Bob Dole was when they made the Bob Dole joke. We were too young for that joke. It wasn't meant for us. And now these jokes are become for us because we're all 30 to 40-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're our audience now. We're moving down. We're no longer sitting here talking about the 70s anymore, except for a single Halloween episode. That's all I think it is. And so when I watch this series, I like references. I like it,
Oh,
especially in like
oh yeah.
analogical storytelling like this. I loved it. I loved so many of these episodes. There were a couple where I agree, like, yeah, it's kind of sleeper,
There
but there's a lot of great reference ones.
there is an amazing episode this season though that I forgot all about, and then I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot all about this, and I love every minute of this episode.
Mhm.
So
There was a couple like that for me.
mhm.
And what was funny because I watched it and I remember watching it and being like, oh, that's a middle episode. And then Homer makes the joke about a bad middle episode. And I was like, the heck, they're bad. They're probably one of my favorite episodes are the ones that come in the middle.
Usually in the middle.
Yeah.
It's usually in the middle or the last one. It's never really the first one for me. It's always the middle or the last are the good episodes.
Yeah, I could
So-
easily find a bunch of like first, second, or third episodes that I liked of the Treehouse of Horrors.
Mhm.
But that's why I truly think I got a lot of these references. I like references. I like it whenever they just straight up rip off storylines of famous like shows or movies, and then they spoofitize it with like it doesn't end the same way. Or in one of the Treehouse of Horror episodes in this one, they straight up reveal the ending to one of the seasons of a show, but they don't make it noted. Like they don't say nothing and they just do it and then move on. And I'm just like, they just spoiled the ending of that show, but to the people who haven't watched it yet will not know that. And that's fantastic. Like that's great.
Yeah, and I love when stuff like that happens because that actually happened with me with a certain movie that everyone forever has tried to make me watch.
The Thing.
And I no. It was Unusual Suspects. So this movie's called Unusual Suspects, and it's about like this crime organization. Organization. Pretty much what it is like at the end of the movie, I was like, wait, is it this guy? And my buddy's like, how did you know? And I was like, because I was like, oh my gosh, that's the ending they were spoofing in the movie. And what it was Scary Movie 1.
Mm-hmm.
When you find out that Officer Doofy is the killer.
Oh yeah, and he starts walking.
Yeah,
and then
that whole sequence is the Unusual Suspects ending. Like that whole movie, like it's like this guy that is mentally like
you know what's
thinks
great?
that he's mentally handled, and then like at the end he's super smart and he just manipulated everyone.
You know what's great, right? That same exact feeling you have right there is how I felt about most of the Simpsons episodes growing up as a child. Because I would watch them and be like, haha, that's a really funny way to end it. Find out, oh, that's actually the ending of something else, right?
Well, The Shining episode. Episode. I didn't even know anything about The Shining because I was too young to watch The Shining.
I only watched, fun fact, I only watched The Shining 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
And other fun fact, you may be interested in that. I don't know. It depends on the type of movies you're into. This weekend, I'm going to watch another show for my first time ever. I'm going to go watch Rocky Horror Picture Show. I've never seen it, but here's the thing. We're going to a shadow cast. I don't know if you know what that is.
Oh, yeah, I know what a shadow cast is.
So I got
the people at home, here you go.
I got tickets to this with a bunch of my friends from the VTM, and we're going to go. The thing I've been told about, and I've been told, hey, you may want to decide to say this or not, is there's a thing called popping the cherry of the virgin. And if that sounds sexually explicit, that's apparently their intention.
That is exactly what it is.
And what that is if you've never seen the show or have never seen a shadow play before, they will ask you if you are one, and then they'll call you on stage and do like this little like thing with you. And my friend Mikey has told me like, hey, I know you don't deal great with like social situations because I'm a pretty antisocial person. She's like, they will like basically haze you on the stage. And so she's like, you may not want to say you are just to avoid that, but you will be for us. And I'm like, oh, okay. Unfortunately, the person leading the thing, Steve, he found out I was, and so there's a fear that he's going to say something regardless. But we'll see. That's going to be on Friday. That's my thing on this. But it's just one of those things. Like there's a bunch of like famous things when we were little I've never seen. Another one that was referenced, but I know this reference because it's everywhere and I know of it. It's the only thing I really know about the movie is Little Tree Shop of Horrors. The Feed Me Seymour. That's
Feed me, Seymour.
I just know the plant. And that was a reference in the Treehouse of Horrors.
That was actually, so like next year, actually, they are doing the Little Shop of Horrors, the play in Pittsburgh. And I actually was planning on going.
It's not even next year. They're doing it this year too.
Oh man.
They do shadow plays. Like it's the same place we're going to do the Rocky Horror.
Okay.
Because I bought the tickets for there and they're like, hey, you may like some of these other shows. I was like, oh.
Oh, is it so the Rocky Horror Picture Show, it's a play? Like
no, it's a shadow play. You know what a shadow play is, right?
Yeah, it's where you watch the movie and then people like dance and do other things.
Yeah, it's basically that.
It's like The Room. The Room does the same thing with the spoons and like other
a lot of
people
pop culture things do shadow plays because people like it so much that they learn everything and they do
Well, the Little Shop of Horrors is a play that they're going to put on in like a theater. So I was like, I really want to go. So
you're talking. Cool. Oh, okay.
A real play. About, so like. Yeah.
I think a fun fact, Austin, I think this is going to be the second movie I have watched the play of before I've watched the movie. Can you think of the other one that I've done?
Oh yeah, Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. Never saw it, and then we watched it. I was like, that's awesome. Gotta go watch it. And then that's when I learned that the first Evil Dead is much different from the second one, but they're basically the same thing.
Same thing. It just one has a budget, one doesn't. And one was supposed to be scary.
But we have to get back on.
Yeah.
Sorry, you rant about Simpsons. I rant about things I've never done. But no, like this series has a lot of great references and a lot of callbacks to different shows. I can name a bunch from this group of them. The number one on the list is the Coraline episode.
Yes, I knew it. That is my favorite episode.
Because
I forgot all about
the second they began, I was like, oh, this is animated like Coraline. This is pretty good. I'm liking this. And then Snowball the cat starts talking. I'm like, that's Neil Gaiman. That's freaking Neil Gaiman. I recognize that man's voice.
For people that don't know who Neil Gaiman is my favorite author of all time, and he wrote Coraline when he was in high school. It was one of his projects that he wrote when he was in high school and never finished it until after he wrote American Gods, and then The Sandman he wrote in the 80s. But yeah, when I forgot all about that and I saw the Coraline thing, I was like, wait, is Neil Gaiman in this episode? Because I think he is. And then like Snowball starts talking. And I was like, yep.
The funny thing is, the second I went Coraline, I'm like, oh, I'm going to like this episode regardless because I like Coraline. Like I'm a fan of Coraline. And then the thing that turned it from I'm going to like this episode, this is one of my favorite Treehouse of Horrors ever, is the second that Neil Gaiman started speaking. And I was like, oh, that's great. He's not in my falafel, but this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then she does the flashlight thing and he's into like he starts playing with it, and I was like, that's a sight I don't see very often when it comes to Neil Gaiman, like voice and acting, is like playful cat, like playful voice.
Yeah.
And so he was very much like, oh, it's here. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, it's here. And that made me very happy. It was and it was a great episode too, because like the whole concept of Lisa, like, no, this other place is just so much better than mine. And I was like, what's funny is that I knew that's exactly the position they were going to take with the jokes. And what made it even funnier is that each one kept going in there and just be like staying there from then on. It just made me laugh. I was like,
there was a whole bunch of references this season. So we had Stranger Things was a reference.
Stranger Things.
I'm trying the Great Pumpkin. The Great Pumpkin was a reference. The Charlie Brown, The Great Pumpkin thing. I'm trying to think what else, because like The Exorcist. There was an Exorcist episode, which is
Clockwork Orange, which Clockwork Yellow.
Yep, Clockwork Orange.
Which I've never seen Clockwork Orange.
I knew you were gonna say that.
There's like a couple, like a lot of the cult classics that were like big on people, like for people to watch. I got passed on because I was too young to watch it whenever it became like in your zeitgeist, and then it became a thing of like no one talked about them when I was in high school or college.
What's interesting about the Clockwork Orange episode actually is it's a reference to all of Stanley Kubrick's work.
Oh, really?
It's not just a Clockwork Orange. So there's the part which, the Clockwork Orange, but when they go into the party at the end and they're all masked, that is that is called a movie called Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise, and that was Stanley Kubrick's last film. And then the part where like Homer becomes like an ape, he's like, ooh, ooh, and the guy's got the cell phone. That's from 2001 Space Odyssey, which is a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Oh, okay.
And then I forget the other reference. There's two other references. Oh, when he opens up the door and the guy's in the bathroom.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
like
yeah.
looking down.
That's a
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. I have seen that one. Yeah,
that's the guy. That's Vincent. What's his name? The guy that plays Kingpin.
Kingpin, yeah. Vincent DiMaggio. No.
Yeah, I forgot, but like, yeah, there's a lot of Stanley Kubrick. Like, it was just a whole reference, and at the end, he was like, "All right, we're gonna cut this." Here's a fun fact for the people out there that don't know this, but you probably don't know this either. So the funny joke that a lot of people probably didn't get at the end of that episode is when they cut to Stanley Kubrick and he says, "You know what? Let's delete all this and just like redo it."
Oh yeah, Kyle and start over. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why is because if you ever read or talk to anyone that has dealt with Stanley Kubrick, he was such a perfectionist. Well, he did The Shining too, so there was a reference to The Shining in that episode too. But he was known to film things so many times to get it like the shot that he wanted. And they talked about how he filmed one of the scenes in The Shining 137 times.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And they also referenced an epic rap battle too.
He also was a bad person when it came to his filming, because he would terrorize people.
Well, the same. He was just being like Albert Hitchcock, because Albert Hitchcock is kind of like the first.
It doesn't matter. It's still pretty bad. It'd be no different than like my employer basically saying like I'm forced to do the thing.
A lot of directors did that back then. Like they would like terrorize their actors so that they would have true fear. Like the movie Birds with Alfred Hitchcock, he terrorized the crap out of that woman. He did the same thing in The Shining. Stanley Kubrick did it in The Shining with the lady that played Olive Oil.
Yeah. Another episode that they spoofed was Spider-Man Into the Multiverse. I knew it was that the second that it said Spire Homer verse, and then the Noir Homer.
The Noir Homer was great. I love the Noir Homer.
I did still find it funny that they did the one it's not the Pink Panther, but it's the other dude who's like exit stage left, like everyone references if you're above the age of 30. Yeah. And so like they referenced that, and I was like, okay, this is the call to like their older fans who will be like, I get that reference.
They also spoofed James Bond in this season.
James Bond, Death Note. That was a big one for Death Note.
They also did Cat in the Hat. I forgot about the Cat in the Hat episode. Oh
yeah, that was a great episode. I like that one. I like that.
Now there is a reference that a lot of people won't get, because it is a treasure for people that are horror fanatics.
Or The Ring. Sorry, that's another one. Go on.
Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings. So do you remember the Carney episode?
The Carney episode?
Yeah, it's where Homer forces Homer is like the strong man in the circus. Mr. Burns.
Oh yeah.
So that is a reference to a movie from the 1920s called Freaks. And it's exactly the same story plot. Like it's the same thing, but in Simpson reference. People were terrified of that movie when it first came out, because it was just like, in the 1920s and 30s, that kind of stuff is like pretty dark for that time era.
Yeah.
So when you watched on film, you're like, ugh, the only things that were, a lot of movies were terrifying back then like that. You had Frankenstein, Nosferatu, Dracula, like a whole bunch of other things like that. So like people were terrified of things like that. It freaked them out. So when Freaks came out, I remember the only reason I know about Freaks is when I did Classy Nerd Talk, and me and Titan would do Movies Then and Now. He made me watch Freaks, and I watched it, and I was like, dude, this is rough. Like, when did this come out? And he's like, 1930s. I was like, those people were probably freaking out, and he's like, yeah, people hated it. And I was like, yeah, I could probably guess why, So, yeah, a little fun thing about that. They also, what was the other? I'm trying to think the other stuff that they referenced too, because there was a lot of referencing, like movie-wise. Because
there was
the Hulk in a way. Was it the Hulk? No, it wasn't the Hulk.
No. They did a large amount of references.
Well, they did the Blob. I know that.
Yeah, with Homer.
Yep. Oh, and they did a whole spoof on Orson Welles' War of the Worlds.
Oh yeah.
Thing. Like, a lot of people don't know about that, but like I told my wife we were.
I don't know how you wouldn't know. Like that's
Yeah.
I think maybe okay. Hold up. I got to readjust my statement here. I think there's no way you don't know about that if you were in any type of art field, because everyone in AIP knew about it. Everyone in art class in high school knew about it. But then I thought, maybe the jocks don't know about that, because why would they care? I think it was just something growing up that we always thought was funny, that a bunch of people got freaked out when radio podcasts became convinced everyone that aliens were attacking everything, and we're like, that's so stupid, why did they believe it? And then I thought to myself, no, that makes sense. If that's all you get your news from and you heard that, you would freak out. Yeah, because you have no way to check to see if it's real.
And one of my favorite lines from the Treehouse of Horrors came up again in this season.
Westworld too. Sorry, just thinking about
Westworld. Yeah, I forgot about Westworld. Yeah, the Simpsons. I love the whole pun that they did on that, where it's just like a Simpsons land, and then Bob's Burgers actually shows up at the end.
Ends that with Linda from Bob's Burger.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, yeah,
and then you find out that it's all a bunch of different dead franchises,
Family Guy,
as they said.
Big Mouth. There was
Rick and Morty. SpongeBob was also there.
Oh yeah, that is SpongeBob was in there. But the one of my favorite lines, it was the Daniel Radcliffe episode, where it was the Twilight episode. It was
was that Daniel Radcliffe who was playing him?
Yeah, he's playing. Yeah,
what you know? What's funny, when I was watching that episode, I'm like, this is the episode with the whole cholesterol and not the good type. Because Austin says that a lot.
I love that line.
And sure enough, the very end is them both dying.
If you're gonna suck my blood, you're gonna do it from me.
I will say I did find it funny that they had like the Daniel Radcliffe Twilight vampire, and then his dad's just straight up Dracula. They just didn't try. They're like, whatever, it's Dracula. I don't know.
Also, there's another really good line in that episode that I love, is the part where like Homer's trying to defend Lisa, and he grabs a cross and he's like, pretty ironic.
Someone's being stabbed to death by a crucifix.
Yeah. So yeah. There was a lot of, what was really funny is I like the callbacks that they do inside the Simpsons universe. The older Simpson animations.
Yeah,
I love that. It's so much fun. They did Stranger Things.
They did in the Stranger Thing. They did in the episode where like they find out the ghosts were in the house. Mm-hmm. The other one that they did was in the Simpson Land episode. It begins with the actual animation from the monorail episode, and then it switched. And I caught it and went, "Oh no! Did my thing jump to a new season?" And then the animation freshed up, and I was like, wait, hold up. And I rewinded just to catch the transition change from the two animation styles. And I was like, I appreciate that. I like that a lot. Yeah. And then also the two frat boys who like forced Homer to drink. My brain went, yeah, no, that's exactly how it is.
Yeah, that's exactly how it would happen. Or the hedge. Meme.
Yeah. I hate this hedge. The whole place was nothing but me. Like everything that happened in that episode was very entertaining for fans of The Simpsons. Like whenever Lisa's going around with the makeup gun, killing people, Homer pushing the rock of triumph onto a bunch of people. There was just a lot of those. And then like the cake on top, which I loved, is Marge saving them in the 4x4 Canyonero, and they play the song
Canyonero.
And I also love that for the fact that at the end credit scene they added in Toyota into it, because when they did that episode they had to put Toyota in the credit for use of their product, and they did it again because they used it. And I was like, I love that. I love that.
And there was also an episode that was a reference for people that played board games back in the 90s, and I don't think you ever played this board game.
Oh yeah, all those different board games. Yeah, whenever it was Jumanji. It was Jumanji. That was the spoof of it.
Yeah, that was Jumanji, but there is a funny joke that is a reference to something that actually got a lot of flack. Like, a lot of people wanted to play this certain game.
Is it Mouse?
But there was, yeah, it was Mousetrap.
Yeah, no, I remember playing that.
Okay, but
because I think it was
is always the thing that breaks.
Yeah, because it never worked
works.
properly.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I think it was our cousin's hat up in grandma's.
Yeah. No, it was actually Ginny and.
It was Ginny. Okay. I just remember having that. Oh, you know what makes me think of Grandma? Grandma had that mouse movie where it's like the two chefs trying to capture Mouse Hunt.
Mouse Hunt. Yeah.
I always equated those two together. I thought that movie was based on the game. But no, I liked that. That episode was pretty good. Also, side note,
Bar Goes to Hell. And
Bar Goes to Hell, yeah.
The teacher episode, I really like that episode where he's like a student there, and
he's a valedictorian, yeah, of it. And then it's like, now you have a special person that you have to torture. Dad, I can't torture my dad. No, buddy, I want you to do it. Hurt me, get the good grades, and then he beats the crap out of him. And at the end, where Homer's just like, which one's your boy? And the guy's just like, he's like, wow.
That, and we got to see two things within this time span. The Simpsons make reference to the election twice.
Well, we got one last episode.
Oh yeah.
Our last last episode of our podcast, we watched the one about John McCain, and then this one, it was about Trump versus Joe Biden.
Hillary.
No, it's 2020.
It was Hillary. They also did one for Hillary too.
Did they? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was the one. Was it?
It was John McCain, because Homer's trying to vote and he keeps hitting Barack Obama, and it's like 2 votes for John McCain, 5 votes for John McCain.
That was this season.
No, that was last time.
No, that was season 20.
Oh, maybe I saw that during the thing, and
that was the episode. That was the episode, The Great Pumpkin.
Oh, okay. No, you're right. I thought that happened last episode. I've seen that multiple times, so.
There was also a reference in here that a lot of people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The episode where Homer gets hired to kill celebrities.
Oh, yeah.
That episode. There's a reference. There's a TV show that was on AMC, but it wasn't as big as Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm.
But it was called Mad Men.
Yeah.
And the black and white part of that was all the Mad Men. It was the theme for Mad Men, but it was in the Simpsons rendition. So I forgot about that reference.
Another thing I really liked was in the Pazuzu episode where Maggie is possessed by Pazuzu. The song that Homer sings is a church hymn. He makes it a it's a parody, but when he was singing it, I'm like, I know this melody. I've heard this melody before. I'm like, I heard it at church. That's where I'm hearing it from. I didn't coin it down because I was at work. I wasn't going to Google search anything, but that is completely the melody from a church, which makes complete sense to do that for a demon.
Yeah. And then there was also the reference. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, for Hunger Games.
Hunger Games
was a reference.
Hunger Games. Yep.
I did like the beginning of one of these episodes that I really liked was the episode, and Body Snatchers was on this episode too. Body Snatchers was a movie that came out in the 90s, but it was the beginning where Homer and them go to Maine and the people worship Cthulhu there. And
the beginning.
Eats him like an oyster.
He challenges him to a eating contest, and he beats Cthulhu, and then he...
Oh, there's also 2 more references we missed. Jurassic Park is one of them.
Which one?
Where it was the old folks. Mr. Burns.
Oh,
was
yeah.
And then the episode where Nelson, Milhouse and Bart get kidnapped.
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah.
split. That's split.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I forgot
And then
about
also
that movie.
the Groundhog's Day whatever series of
Yeah.
Lisa and Nelson.
Thinner was also a reference. That's a Stephen King book. It's the one where Homer was eating himself. That's called Thinner. It's not really that great of an episode though. Now, what's really funny is we got to see the transition. We did get to see the transition to when the Simpsons were bought from Disney, which is kind of funny. And that is season 31. They were bought from Disney,
or bought by Disney.
Yeah, Disney bought them at season 31. They bought them, and it was the episode where Flanders has Maggie on the pulpit. It's like she has the mark of the beast, and he opens up her hair. And
it's the Disney.
The Mickey. That's what it is. That's the.
You know what's also funny too.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching, and you know the one thing that shocked me in all this seasons?
What?
One word. Can you guess what that word was?
Mm-mm.
When it was the AI of Marge fighting herself, right? And the AI gets so mad, she yells, "It's like that bee," and she chucks the thing, and I'm like, whoa. The Simpsons have never cursed like that.
Yeah.
And that legitimately like took me aback. I was like, holy cow, this must be after the point that they have been purchased or strict the guidelines for TV editing has been updated. Yeah. Because I was also... like, it's not like that terrible of a word. Like people say all the time, it never phases me, but I would never hear the Simpsons say that.
Also, Snagglepuss is the name of the
Snagglepuss, exit stage left.
Yep. Exit stage left. Oh, also there was a Toy Story reference.
Toy Story, yep.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I know that we're kind of just going through.
Yeah, we're just going through references at this point. But the funny thing is, the funny thing is,
Parasite. We forgot about Parasite, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
It was a really good movie. I watched that like the year it came out, and I was like, dang, that caught me off guard. I'm glad I did not spoil myself. Oh, the thing that made me laugh that it spoiled the ending was the Stranger Thing episode. Whenever they're like, oh, someone hasn't seen season 3 yet, and the second he states that, you have the mind flare come up, blow up, and then just suck away and disappear. And I'm like, that's straight up a spoiler for season 3. And it's like, if you've only watched the first season, which at this point was probably like what most people have seen, you just got spoiled, but you probably don't know you got spoiled until you watch it.
No.
I love that. I little things like that make me laugh.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. Like I really like the references that they always have in the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, because all they do is most of the time, almost every episode has where they spoof a movie, and that's what I love. And the Parasite one, what's really funny is what I like about that episode is the Itchy and Scratchy cartoon that they turn on is Joe Hong. I think his name's Jung Ho Gong. I think that's his name, Jung Ho Gong, the guy that directed Parasite and wrote Parasite.
Okay, yeah.
The Itchy and Scratchy cartoon is from his other famous movie, which is called Snowpiercer, with Chris Evans. And it's about a train, like a train in Alaska. So when that showed up, I was like, oh, he's referencing Snowpiercer. I was like, I love how the Simpsons go in detail. When they're going to do something right, they do it correctly. They like reference the things.
It's probably the reason why I like the Treehouse of Horror so much, is because a lot of them are references to pop culture in some way, and I appreciate that a lot.
Oh yeah.
I had one reference that I thought about. Oh no, I have one thing I do want to comment on. I like how in these later seasons, the different Treehouse of Horror episodes are actually interconnected with each other, and they're no longer separated like they have in the earlier seasons. Because we have in the Pazuzu series, when Lisa, I think, goes to do Coraline, I think that's the same way. I could be wrong on that one. But in the first one, it's Pazuzu, and in the second episode, they're all talking about doing something, and then they're like, oh, we can't because Maggie still has Pazuzu, a little bit of Pazuzu in her. And then she is like, well, at least she didn't vomit. And then she just starts vomiting everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that was last story they brought in. And then they also did in the last season, or in the last couple, I don't know which one it is, but whenever they have the trees come alive from the Treehouse of Horror episode, one of the trees was a billboard sign that came alive. And then the next one, where it was the Ring episode, that tree's walking in the background in one of the shots.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I just like that. Great job.
The references.
The reference within a reference. I love it.
There's two more references I wanted to make. Was Gojira.
Godzilla.
Yep. And also two is Chronicle, the movie Chronicle. Do you remember? Have you ever heard of Chronicle?
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's pretty much the episode where like they go down in like the hole and they find like the goo, like the radioactive goo, and then
and they get oh yeah, I do know that. That's the yeah.
It's a movie with Bill Skarsgård.
I also like that because Milhouse goes crazy and starts doing everything, and then Maggie murders him. And then it hit me. I'm like, in a lot of these Treehouse of Horrors, it's always Maggie who kills him.
And there was another reference that I love, and it was the Jumanji episode where like all the like pieces are coming to get Bart, and he's like, what did video games taught me? Oh yeah, that's right, kill.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I forgot about that so
another thing I liked, because this goes back to the Westworld episode. I really like the self-references that they make inside of the self-reference. After they get Homer drunk, and then they're like, this, he's busted. And then the other one turns to her, is like, yo, let's get drunk and go kill Mr. Burns. And then they run off. And I'm like, that's a reference to that big time in Simpsons life where it's like, who shot Mr. Burns? And then in the end, it's Smithers who got drunk and was angry in one of the many episodes. One of the many endings.
Yeah, one of the many endings. Yeah.
I think the canonical one is which one? Maggie shot him.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Actually, because there's 4 endings.
Yeah.
Because there's Waylon Smithers,
Principal Skinner,
Maggie, and then the last one, I think it's Abe Simpson.
Abe. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
I remember that series happening live in my life and just being like, who did it?
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, Montgomery's fine, like he's alive. I just remember the scene where he gets shot and then falls on the sundial, and me thinking to myself like, wow, they killed a character, and then they didn't, and then years later they kill off Marge. And I was like, dang, okay.
I remember when that episode got aired, there was a, what was it, America's Most Wanted episode about it, which is kind of funny, but they also had a contest, and they said that within 10 minutes, only one person until the next season got it right. And they had like a contest at the time, because at the time, Simpsons were doing the endorsement with, was it Butterfinger? So, or was it Simpsons?
That's another
BBs?
reference.
Simpsons BBs, because that's even a reference in there. He's like, "Oh, Butterfinger, you're the last one that's
no,
before like stale raisins."
No, Barterfinger.
Barterfingers, yeah, Butterfingers. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, I'm really excited that we did this. I was really happy.
It was great.
I had a lot of fun, and the new one comes out here in like 2 weeks. They always do it after Halloween now, and I don't understand why, but
it makes sense. You give it one last hoorah before the end of the spooky season, and I'm kind of down for that.
Yeah.
It's just too bad we didn't do it in time that we could add it to the list, but I'm okay with that.
Which is, there was something a little different of these, that we haven't seen before, but you talked about one of them was the Thanksgiving episode.
Oh yeah, the 2 seasonal.
And there was a Halloween episode, like its own Halloween.
Yep.
Like in
that
in
episode. Okay, so
was a little.
So this is the thing, right? I know a lot of people talk trash about The Simpsons nowadays. They're kind of like, oh, they're past their prime or whatever. Some people are like, it's getting good again. That episode made me feel a lot of feelings. It made me feel really bad for Lisa, because I'm like, she has PTSD. She got PTSD from that. and she is falling back on like Taily that she absolutely loves, and that's what's coming to her. And my brain's like, this is a great story to explain this, right? To explain this nature. And then I like the end that she overcomes the fear by help with like, I mean, no one ever wants to like hear like the concept of them being like, oh, she overcame her fear by being forced to deal with her fear is not a good ending. Like, it's not like a good thing that you want to do, but it's like the story was just done that way. Side note, and this is a plug here, Adventure Time did it first. Because Finn was deathly afraid of water, and in the episode, Jake tries to help him get over his fear by throwing their house into the ocean. And he's like, no, now you have to face your fear or else you'll drown. So in this situations, Adventure Time did it first.
What was really funny is the references that are also inside of the Simpsons that are references of other relations to Simpsons, like the Futurama references were multiple times. Disenchantment was on there. Lucy was smoking a cigarette in one episode.
In the episode where Homer unlocks, or no, whenever they find out that there's multiple dimensions of different Simpsons, and a bunch of them start walking in, all of them are a reference to different shows. Like you had the Adventure Time, you had the Bob's Burger, you had the Minion, you had, and the ones that were in the background were the ones that you had to kind of like think about a little bit. They had Archer in the background. And I was like, that's great. Like,
they also referenced Rocky Horror Picture Show.
They did with the song.
Yep,
which, side note, funny thing, right? I've never seen it, right? And the second that started playing, I'm like, I know what this is from because of how popular that song is.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it or heard it.
Time Warp is the
there
song,
was a part of me that's like, I should find this clip on YouTube and share it to my vampire group.
Yeah.
And then I ultimately chose not to because I'm like, maybe after I see it, like that'll be better. Because if I do it beforehand, they'll be like, oh, you know this is in the song, and then I have to sit there and explain that, like, how do you not know this song exists? And the only reason why I know that this was the song is because of the I think it's Moe's costume is a 1-to-1 of the person who sings it.
No, it's actually so two people are actually the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but it's Sideshow Mel. Is dressed up as that, and then Dr. Hibbett's wife. So that's the only ones. I love Dr. Hibbert.
The episode with the zombies, and Herbert's like, oh, he's the last one he's the chosen one. You have to take him to be saved. Tell my wife I love gosh. And then Homer's like, oh, I didn't get that. I'll just give her a high five.
One of my favorite Dr. Hibbert's line of these is when he goes to stick the thermometer in Maggie's mouth. She's possessed, and he's like, oh, she's 197 fever. She got the case to evil, and she just stabs him with the.
She spits it out and kills him.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah.
No. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I liked a lot of these episodes, even the ones where like people say like, oh, it's not as good. I'm like, I actually think, I think I enjoyed these episodes more than last episodes that we watched, like 1 through 17. I found myself enjoying more of these episodes than I did that one. I will admit that those episodes in the first 17, there's a lot of ones where I'm like, this is iconic, I love this one, this is iconic, right? In this one, it's much more of like, I just like a lot of them. I like a lot of them.
Well, you know, and I think the Death Note episode is like right up there.
Yeah, the Death Note one was just well animated and well put together. I did like that they changed the Death Note to be like you can only kill someone the same way once. And I was like, man, that should have been a clause in the show because it got pretty boring where he was just heart attacking everyone to death.
Yep. That's the thing. It's fun though.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good.
I liked it a lot. I also did like that they called back to his name, like Johnson, the Shin Megami, and he killed him. And it's like, yeah, that's why you don't tell her your full name. All right, Austin. Oh,
Thought
so?
for some odd reason that the Turaga, what I don't know how you pronounce that demon.
Shimagami.
Shimagami. I thought it was Mo said like, oh yeah, and that was the episode with Barbaduke.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Barbaduke
Boobadook.
reference too.
Boobadook.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like that one too, for
Yeah.
just the fact that Maggie went a little Rambo at the end.
Now I need to know: have you ever watched Barbaduke?
Nope. Nope.
It's a psychological thing. I actually
That makes
enjoy.
sense.
A lot of people are like, "This is stupid," but I am I'm that person that likes the psychological stuff.
Yeah.
That's like messes with your head instead of a jump scare.
Yep.
And so yeah,
Those are my favorite horror films. Like the group from LARP just watched yesterday night Trick or Treat, I think it's like what 2014 or 2007 movie. And the one thing I pointed out that I'm like I like that a lot more than like a lot of the scary movies nowadays, because they have jump scares a couple, but they weren't like jump scares in the way of like loud noises jumping. It was much more of like something moving quickly. And there's no jump scare noise, there's no like screaming, and it's all kind of atmospheric, and I liked it. And
that's why
movies don't have that nowadays.
Well, there is, but it's certain directors. Like, I really think that, like I loved Hereditary. I think Hereditary is great. And then The Witch is a slow burn horror film.
I hear that all the time. I hear that anytime someone mentions slow burn, it's always The Witch. Which, fine. I think what's funny, I find it funny that all these movies are a thing, right? And you know what movie comes out here soon? Orf, 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 orf. If you know the reference, you'll get it, but if not, you have no idea. Man, you are not TikTok savvy meme. Five Nights at Freddy comes out on this Friday. Yeah, have you not seen those memes everywhere where it's just like, oh my gosh, is this orf, 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 orf? Because that's the song they do.
I have, but like I've also today actually they came out with the reviews for that movie. Like people that have watched them that are Five Nights at Freddy's fans, and then other critics. And I know Markiplier's not in it, and a lot of people are upset because Mark's not in it.
Well, also, Mark's not in it because he's making his own horror film.
Yeah, which I am excited for. Iron Lung looks great. I watched him play Iron Lung.
I've watched him play, and I didn't think the premise was all that interesting. I'll be honest. I'm like, I get it. You're in this pool of blood. Cool. Like, you're just going around doing that. Whatever. Whenever it's done in a movie thing, I've seen Markiplier do Markiplier in space and other things. He can keep me captivated with the dumbest things possible. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. And so, like, if he saw, like, good in this, and like I believe he'll do a fantastic job of it. Yeah. And so I'm like, I'm going to support that. I'm going to try and convince all my friends to go to it too whenever it airs, because I want to like help bridge that gap between people being like YouTubers and movies are two different things. It's like, no, they can transcribe, move across, that's all good. If I will say this about the FNAF movie, if it does not end with Matt Pack coming in last second in a detective suit going, I have a theory, and then it ends with the post-credit scene, I'm going to be very upset. Because if there's one person who deserves the mantle as like the proprietor for FNAF's greatness, outside of the like couple people they have, it needs to be Matt Pat, because Matt Pat has done so many theories for that. He deserves to be in that dang movie, and not because Scott Kaufman does not like Matt Pat.
Well, I was gonna say we could watch it on Friday if you want.
We could. Well, no, because I'm doing the Rocky Horror on Friday.
Oh, that's right. Well, then I'll have to watch it myself. It's okay. It's fine. We'll figure it out.
You could come to the Rocky Horror with me. You just have to drive up.
That. Yeah, I was gonna say like it comes out on Peacock the Friday night.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, it comes out at the same time.
I can't do it Saturday either because we have LARP, but Sunday I could do it.
We figure it out sometime. You never know. Orf. But past all that, so next week we are doing. We have decided that we are going to re-up our Netflix for a month. And we're going to do Netflix shows.
We're going to push out a bunch of Netflix shows because we do not want to give them more than $8 a month.
Yep.
Because screw those guys. I don't like them. Austin, you go ahead and renew your Netflix whenever you want to, and then give me your information. We'll see if I can watch it. And if it doesn't, then I'll do a trial just to push through all those episodes.
All it does is like if you would link up to it, it would mark you as you in Pittsburgh, and then it would charge me $8 automatically.
Oh, that's what it does?
That's how
stupid.
they do it. So that's why a lot of people are canceling it, because a lot of people are getting these hidden charges, and we're like, why is it $40 now? It's like, you have 4 people that's watching it. So yeah, that's why do your free trial.
I'm going to look into as many free trials as I can get.
Yeah, so like a couple things that you guys need to know about it. Like what we're doing is Scott Pilgrim comes out.
Yeah, we're doing the Fall of the House of Usher next week, which is by the dude from Midnight Mass.
Mike Flanagan. And it's from a famous poem from Edgar Allan Poe called The Fall of the House of Usher.
Nice.
So they made a TV show.
We're doing that.
That's why I've been a huge fan of it.
We're doing Castlevania Nocturnus, which we're a fan of. Castlevania, just sucks. It's on Netflix. We're doing the Scott Pilgrim anime whenever it comes out.
Yep.
And then we'll figure out a 4th one to do.
Already know.
I'm sure you already know. Oh yeah, what we do?
Disenchantment, the final season.
Perfect.
We can finish up with that and like finally finish Disenchantment. So.
And move on from there. That sounds great to me. That sounds great to me. All right, Austin. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Bros and Shows. It was fun talking to you about this. I'm sure from now on we'll have a lot more references to joke about when it comes to The Simpsons in the coming seasons. So Austin, thank you so much. To everyone listening and watching, thank you all so much for stopping by, and thank you all so much for tuning in.